I can start. So I'm Johannes. I'm managing partner at Symbiotech. We're an IoT consultancy who do lots of different things, but in particular, we've done about 9 projects with Wirepas. So we've got a lot of experience at rolling out Wirepas at scale, in particular in the lighting fields.
Great to have you here, Johannes. And then Aleksi, where are you coming from?
Yeah, well, I'm a co-founder at Valpas. I'm a developer, and Valpas helps protect hotels and their reputation from bedbugs. So we have a new to the world product that makes hotels safe from bedbugs. And we have been using Wirepas now for 3 years and deployed to multiple countries in Europe in about 50 hotels.
Great. I see that Nikki is trying to get in. So Nikki, can you hear us? And I see that Pertti is there as well. There seems to be a minor usability issue with the tool. So it's not very easy to find how to get started. So now we get Pertti there online. Great.
Hello.
We can hear you a bit low voice, so if you can speak closer to your computer.
Okay, I'll do.
Perfect.
Hey guys.
So Pertti, why don't you make an introduction yourself?
Okay, so my name is Pertti Kujala, so working at Haltian, and leading our smart factory focus area. So it's been really nice journey with Wirepas. So actually we have used now Wirepas for 4.5 years. So it's been really robust connected solution for sensor network solutions. So there are around 100,000 ThinkC devices in the field.
Good. So this is all about the kind of going through the what is all about, how to make the mass deployment. So you all have been in a position of rolling out your solution on market and going through that the what it takes. So if you could so we could start with Aleksi. So your sensors, when you have been rolling out those, so I'm sure that in the beginning you had a usability thing, so how to help the maintenance people to actually make this installation in the field. So if you could just share a bit your experience that how it was, so from where you started with the installation, how did you train the people, what did you find out, what were the problems?
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously.
Hey, good to have you, Nick, there.
Wow, that was lovely.
So before Aleksi jumping into the question, so you can still think, and Nikki, if you do the short introduction.
Wow, terribly sorry, guys. Experimenting with Snap camera during my work from home days, and I couldn't turn it off. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Thank God I have a Safari as well. So I'm Nikki. I work at a company called Weissbeerger. We're the data and analytics arm of AB InBev, which is the largest brewery in the world. And I lead the IoT effort here in Weissbeerger.
Great to have you here, Nick. And I already kind of shoot the question on this, how to make the deployments and what are the challenges. So, and I asked it to Alex to start with his answer.
Yeah. Well, I was starting, we deploy hotels, and most hotels are not that large. They have somewhere between 30 or 50 rooms. So basically that means that our installations need to be very quick, kind of in and out operations. And currently we have like local contractors. So we really have, we really try to focus that somebody who hasn't maybe that big of a technical background, who can just do the physical installation of the product, and then kind of the IoT and connectivity sides works on its own. So there shouldn't be any.
Maybe Alex, it's good to explain for the others that what is actually your product, so where it's installed.
Yeah. So Valpas, we have a new to the world product that makes hotels safe from bed bugs. And basically we do it by installing a smart bed leg to the hotel beds. And after that, we provide this protocol that they can follow to be sure that all the hotel rooms are protected from bed bugs 24/7. And our installation has kind of like, obviously, the physical component, which is the bed leg. And then there's the IoT connectivity that helps the hotel get notifications from the beds.
Yeah, but kind of trying that usually the guys that are doing the maintenance in the hotels, they are, you cannot really have a long training for them. So it's about exchange the bed leg or bring the new bed and then attaching the leg, and that's it. They shouldn't be doing anything else, and not doing the planning, and that's where you've been reaching. So you have a mobile app where you only need to commission that this bed leg is in a certain room, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't need to play around with the wireless communication, which is good. Yeah. So Pertti, I think that you've been working with the cleaning, and I see that Visa, you joined. So Visa is coming from Mount Kelvin. So short intro.
Hello, are you here?
We can hear you.
Excellent. So hi, I'm Visa Parviainen, CTO for Mount Kelvin. Like Valpas, we actually also do hotels, but slightly different parts. So we do hotel room controls. Both app and physical based, so you can see these wireless buttons here, and actually the rest of our showroom where I'm sitting here. So
it's not your bedroom.
It's not my bedroom, even though it looks almost exactly like my bedroom. Obviously, it's this stylish at my home as well. But yeah, we do hotel room controls, and there's actually even a Valpas leg here. Here in our showroom.
Nice one. Okay, but then Pertti, I'm sure that you've been facing some challenges in the installations because you bring the IoT devices for the cleaning industry. So if you give a bit examples that what are the hindrances and how you overcome those.
Yeah, so normally, like in pilot and POC level, it's easy to get data. That's no problem, and normally that sort of evaluation environment is like a lab environment. But then when you do that in scale, you have to have a managed way to make a deployment. As Jani said, for example, on cleaning area, on a smart washroom area, the deployment must be very, very simple because installer people are also they are just regular people who make the cleaning tasks. So and one way to do that is that we do as much as we can at front end. So that there are really minimized actions.
Yeah, but if you keep it simple, so basically you ship the sensors pre-configured. When they come on your site, the cleaning personnel is taking that, attaching the sensor to the existing products, like a retrofit. And once again, they need to use the smartphone, the commissioning that this particular sensor is belonging to this washroom and in this particular dispenser. So it's just about the kind of combining the physical world with the digital world. That's the only that you need to do, but they are not playing around how they connect to the network.
Exactly. So no configuration, just that pairing. So this sensor device means this.
Okay, then we jump to Johannes. So they are really stretching the Wirepas capabilities, what you can do actually on the field. So doing that over the last mile. And I'll leave it the kind of things for the installer on the field, but of course doing that as automatic as possible. So if you, Johannes, tell about what you've been facing on the field and how you've been sorting out utilizing the Wirepas on the field.
Yeah, sure. So of course I agree with Pertti that if you can do something before it gets on site, you want to do it, but in a lot of the lighting markets we deal with, it's not possible because of the paths that the devices take before they ever make it on site. And I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand there with commissioning when they start developing this is that all these little difficulties that you have during development, they're exponentially worse the more devices you have, the denser the devices are. So what you need is something that is actually really, I mean, if it's even a little bit painful for 10 devices, then it's going to be impossible for 1,000 devices. So what we've been doing is, first of all, direct connectivity. I think that's similar to what Patty probably does when they commission their devices, is to make sure that the phone talks directly to the devices. And so we use the Bluetooth features within the Wirepas stack for that. And then the other thing is just making sure that you have efficient processes built into your apps for doing the common tasks, and they're usually mapping things to a floor plan. So in asset tracking, you will need to position all the anchors onto the floor plan so that they can serve as a reference, or doing the configuration. And yeah, just any little efficiency gains, avoiding 1 or 2 clicks here, that might seem like something that is a little optimization during development, but once you're sitting there with 1,000 devices, it's the difference between half a day and a week. And so that's pretty much our philosophy, and something that we put a lot of love into.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I lost the window where I'm. So it's good that the dealer room is still working on it, but okay, I found it back. Good. And then Nikki, I think you are working also in quite interesting environment, because you work with the bar owners, maybe. Yeah. So if you can also tell that how you've been getting from the wired to wireless.
Yeah. So we have a lot of experience with deployment at scale with IoT sensors that are in a wired solution. Our previous versions were installed in about 1,000 bars. Most of them are in Canada. And I think that the most valuable lesson that we've learned from that experience is that if you have a very complex system that gives you all the data that you need, but it takes 2 technicians to install in about half a day, your ROI just diminishes because of installation costs, with somewhere around $500 of cost in installation per system. Yeah. With the average bar having around 13 taps. So our goal was, in light and in view of some of the sensors in the IoT field that are serving the home audience, such as, Philips Hue or Google's Nest, that do involve some degree of installation, but we needed to take that installation down to something that our users can do in some DIY way. So moving to wireless was probably the easiest step forward that we could do. And I agree with all of the things that you guys said with pre-provisioning at your site before it gets to the end user. But I guess I would put the emphasis on simplicity is the key. And here is where Wirepas really shines with auto connections of the sensors to the gateway. You just have the user just plug everything in, and it all connects. So that solved a lot of issues for us.
But isn't it also this is a generic question to all, that the people expect that's how it should work? Yeah, it's just that the implementation doesn't meet this expectation.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges given to a lot of IoT companies, that some companies did make that a step forward and leap forward towards having a very simple installation. People are very into plug and play these days, and having something that is not plug and play would make the user kind of hate the experience of installation, and you don't want to start in that wrong foot there.
Good. And then jumping to Visa. So you are now doing the deployment in a hotel in Helsinki, and I think the total number will be something like 2,500 devices in a hotel, and you are now beyond the 1,000 installed. So you are really, and you are working with the electricians, and I'm not sure if you've been working with the electricians. They usually only know the 3 colors. So everything in what they install needs to be color marked to be successful in the installation. And if you can confirm this.
Yeah, and don't want to disparage our partners, but it has been amazing how many installation errors we are seeing on the field as well. Even though things are color marked with the standard colors, it's not uncommon for the installation to still be done incorrectly. We have kind of made some pretty significant changes into our process these kind of past few months. The most important one is that we have separated the configuration step from the commissioning step. And this may actually sound a little bit odd, but basically like how we work now is when we are selling a hotel project, we already do the entire configuration beforehand. It takes about 10 minutes to do for a few hundred rooms, so it's quite efficient. And then what is left in the field is basically just mapping the physical hardware that is delivered to the field to the right configuration. So this is already like a significant performance benefit. But then the next phase that we are looking at right now is doing complete pre-commissioning. The problem with that is that we need to work with the hardware suppliers to change the production process into such that there like certain things are needed from the hardware in order to support proper pre-commissioning. So that's going to be very interesting, but the goal is that eventually we should get into the point where almost no commissioning work is done in the field. You basically turn the lights on, look around for 10 seconds to see that the kind of verification process goes through, and then you're done. So kind of trying to offload as much as we can from the electricians is the goal. So what I'm hearing from the others is that everybody has kind of come to the same conclusion. Wireless is hard, and anything that doesn't need to be done in the field shouldn't be done in the field.
So do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think everybody has so far, to me at least, seems everybody has signaled in a similar vein.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd add to that certainly in lighting, wired is also hard. Wired is no easier than wireless. It's just that nobody talks about this because they don't solve the problem, they accept it, and life goes on.
Although, like there's one fundamental difference in wired systems. The electricians have the tools. Like in a wired bus, you can measure the bus voltage and kind of know that you've connected things correctly. And that's actually one of the challenges. We have now started working with our partners to also include some features in the hardware to make finding issues easier, because there is like no interface in the devices necessarily. If it's just a sensor, how do you verify that it's powered if there is no LED, for example?
Yeah, true. But maybe then is that I think that you all are experienced, and what I usually see is that many of the companies that in the beginning they don't know what they don't know. They haven't gone through the scaling. If they have gone through the scaling at even in a wired or wireless in beforehand, they have the right questions. But there's so many people entering in IoT and digitalization their processes that what would be the question that you would place to their head in advance, that they should focus in that thing rather than the kind of a tiny things in that, like is there what's the access cycle in a network? So kind of is there something that you would pass and place that as a seed to their head that they can take into account that in the future? So if we start with Johannes.
Sure. I think first of all, of course, you need to figure out roughly what's realistic. And I mean, we do meet people, that ask us, what's the bandwidth you can expect? And we say, oh, that's a really difficult answer. And then they'll say, oh, is it like a megabyte per second, for example? And you say, okay, well, it's not a megabyte per second. So first of all, you want to, of course, make sure that your application is realistic. But beyond that, I wouldn't really encourage, with something like Wirepas, there's plenty of cases out there. There's plenty of case studies. By going down a rabbit hole of trying to do tests with 10, 20 devices, unless you're doing something wild and novel, you're not going to learn an awful lot. So I think instead, thinking about exactly what we discussed already, if you're going to trial something, trial commissioning, trial how quickly you can roll it out, figure out get this to a customer side, how you can, as was said, make sure that it doesn't eat up the whole ROI by costing too much to commission. I think those are really the things that are very industry specific and that you need to figure out much more so than testing Wirepas, because we all know here that Wirepas works, and we're not just saying that because it's a Wirepas event. The reason we're here is because Wirepas works for us.
Yeah, and the thing with the wireless is like inconvenient, because you only see the wireless when it doesn't work. So when it works smoothly, you don't notice it. Thanks. Then Alexi, what's your question that you would pass for the potential company wondering how they do the end-to-end solution?
Well, I would second Johannes in the way that for sure it depends on what the product, what questions you have, and every product has unique features that need to be cracked. But if I think about what I would have focused more on in our product, I would really like to have focused on like updating software, because in the beginning you think like, okay, I install it and then it's here, it's hardware, I'm not going to change it. But there's a lot of like software updates you can do in your IoT product, and I wished we would have had a really like robust pipeline from the start. And of course, we know that with the new Wirepas networking tool, that's something that is going to be more easy.
Yeah, very good point, Alexi, and I think that's something which is kind of should be built in, that you work in a way that there is OTA supported. Excellent point, and as we all know that it's there in the under the hood, but it has been requiring a bit more like activities in the backend. But it's good bridge to the Pertti, because you're also offering this service for the third parties. So device management. So if someone needs the device management, the Haltian can also provide the device management.
Yeah. So sorry, I couldn't follow your discussion because it's pretty.
Damn you.
Yeah. So so at the beginning, so for customers, the data is the core thing. So and we also ask customers to focus data. So what data they would like to get and what problems they would like to solve. So we arrange everything behind. But also when we go to scale, there has to be like a whole life cycle activities, and that's why we have device management system to manage that. So that's also something that the customers may not think at the first point, but when you go to scale, you have to have solutions for that.
So basically, as a summary, that customers should focus on what data they need and not how to do it, and relying on a partners how to do it that in the most efficient way.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Then Nikki, so what would you kind of seed to the potential your customers or the potential technology selector? What to think? What to take into account?
I would throw you to a point where you're not like in your sweetest dream with having like, I don't know, tens of thousands of customers, but something in the mid-range to that, and asking you, how would you deploy your systems having that medium range of customers? Would you like to go, if we're talking about like a very high rate of installations, then maybe pre-provisioning and having the systems ready at your office before you ship it to your user is maybe not the right idea for you. But having the system self-install at the user would be a better choice for you. So I would plan ahead and start building my infrastructure and my whole pipeline, thinking about where I want to be and how would I like to distribute my system to my end user. One of the choices that we made is if we're talking about an installation rate of about, I don't know, 50 bars a week, I cannot sit around and get the systems ready for each and every bar. I need the system to be something that you could buy off a site, let's say Amazon, and just get a kit at your bar and install it yourself. And my back end and my front end needs to support that. So that's the kind of plan I would offer somebody that is trying to insert an IoT product.
Very good. And then Visa.
Well, right now, kind of we've been trying to figure out the like what's the right way of doing commissioning, and what I've learned now is that by doing it yourself, you will kind of see what happens. So what we actually did was we hired an electrical installer, electrical engineer into our own staff, had him do the commissioning, and then we have our software developers in the field with him, kind of observing him having issues. So basically, my advice is that do the things yourself that you would expect your customer to do, and learn the problems, because we could never have kind of imagined all of the issues that we have run into sitting here in the office. So go do what you expect your customer to do with your product, and do it in a similar scale. Like we had, of course, commissioned our office with our system. Took us about 30 minutes, and we were high-fiving that we've done an awesome job. And then we went to a 200-room hotel with 3,000 devices, and then the brown stuff met the fan, so to speak.
I really second that.
And I'm really glad that you are honest, and why I also enjoy the work in a very different. So we work a very large corporations, we work startup companies, we work with the mid-sized companies. What I see the kind of benefit with the startup and the mid-sized companies is that it's all about that it's doing. So there is a very short chain from the field to the product development, like you Visa described, that your software designers have been sitting and watching how the installation is going on the field. The challenge in a large corporations typically is that there is a long chain from a field issue to the product. So there is maybe 5 people in the between, and is the message really reaching the software development? And when you get that out for the test. While in I think all of you know that when you find the issue and you know how to fix it, so you put the attention on that, roll it out that in a week, in a beta, testing it out, immediately seeing if it fixes. And I think this is the key for the IoT, that you cannot foresee all the things that you're gonna face on a field, because you simply need to go and test and learn from the human behavior. It's like one of the most interesting things is to kind of learn that what can go wrong because of the people on the field.
Yeah.
So we have 3.5 minutes to go. Maybe then that because this Wirepas and Stronger Together. So if you could still bring it something that like the Wirepas has solved you. So now we kind of talk about what are the challenges, but if you just give that what was that the Wirepas, it's just one thing that kind of helped you to solve out. So Johannes.
I think if I had to say one thing, as Alexi already mentioned, over-the-air update. I mean, over-the-air update, we can go to a side, realize what we've built actually doesn't work for whatever reason, fix it, and actually we've got a site now that we're about to commission for the 3rd time to make it better and better and iterate on the process. So over-the-air update is amazing.
Yeah, so you can rely on that, what we have developed in a connectivity layer. Good. Then Alexi.
I would just say that, like Johannes said, we're not plugging Wirepas just because this is a Wirepas event. It just, for us, the tech has just been magic. Like the connectivity works so well that it's like, it's the least of our problems. And I just think that it makes it so great.
Maybe it's good to remind that what's the size of your company?
Well, now currently we're 7 people. So there are not too many hands available always.
Yeah, and I can tell that many companies are kind of putting 7 people only to fix the wireless bugs in their solution. So it's great to hear from your mouth that it has been working as magic. Pertti, what would you raise?
Yeah, I fully agree, Alexis. So the main problem solved is connectivity. So Wirepas is really scalable, and we have many use cases where a customer has already done like a 1.0 solution, but that didn't success because of connectivity problems. But now with Wirepas, we have, for example, we have made solution for that sort of customer, like a 2.0 solution, and it works. And then also, as I said, we have used Wirepas for 4.5 years. We couldn't do that if Wirepas doesn't work. So yeah, connectivity is solved.
Thank you, Bertti. Then Nikki.
I would go with the operation in a noisy environment, both literally and in a bandwidth kind of way, because bars are filled with people who have mobile phones, smartwatches, maybe some headphones that are using Bluetooth. So, and that always throws us to our edge case, which would be, what would you do if you had to install your system in Wembley Stadium with 12,000 taps? And 100,000 people. So that was a no-brainer, because the only thing that could do that is Wirepas.
Yeah, excellent that you bring it up, this interference that the people doesn't really realize, because they work in the labs and usually at home scale things works, but when you enter in this kind of messy places, then interference is one of the biggest problems. Then Visa, 30 seconds.
We were really conservative when we started building the first hotel. I was expecting to have to split the network into multiple areas, and we actually had them install places for additional gateways, several per floor, in fact. So far, we've done 4 out of the 7 floors, and we're still operating with the first gateway that we installed.